Welcome to Hooper Mix TV, where we talk everything hoops. My name is Eli.
And my name is Pat, and today marks a month after the death anniversary of the forever legend, Kobe Bryant. Still, cannot believe that he passed away. Rest in peace, Mamba.
And we know Kobe is one of the most accomplished and game-changing players to play in this league. So after discussing it, we thought about what the league would look like without Kobe Bryant.
How would the NBA look like if Kobe did not play? Who would win the championships now that Shaq and Gasol will have no help? Who would be the scoring champ, MVP, and so much more?
This video was inspired by another YouTube creator, Johnny Arnett. Go check out his video on the NBA if Michael Jordan never existed. We really wanted to portray how impactful Kobe was to this league, plus it lined up perfectly for a Kobe giveaway, so here it is.
Stay till the end as we live pick this raffle winner of the Kobe giveaway. Now that's all done, let us get on with the video. You all ready?
Yup.
Let's get started. First, let's start with some ground rules. 1. We will not be discussing every single event that affects the league. We will just be focusing on the major events that Kobe was a part of.
Similar to Johnny's video, the question we want to focus on is who would win the awards that were previously Kobe's. So the 4 components we will be discussing are the new MVPs, the new scoring champs, the new champions, and the new finals MVP.
Secondly, this is all speculation and our opinions. Therefore, if you don't agree with something, tell us in the comments and we can discuss more about it. Anyways, let's get on with the video. Our first stop is the 2000 playoffs where Kobe and Shaq got their first championship ring. In this playoff, they beat the veteran Portland Trail Blazers team in the Western Conference Finals before advancing and defeating the Indiana Pacers, securing the start of their three-peat.
However, in this new world, we believe that a Kobe-less Lakers wouldn't have beat Portland and advanced to the finals. Our reasoning is that Kobe was absolutely insane this series against the Trailblazers, and without his offensive firepower, they would not be able to defeat Portland in 7 games.
In Game 7 of that series, Kobe hit multiple clutch shots, had 25 points, and had this memorable alley-oop to Shaq. Now, without Kobe, all of this would not have happened, and a team led by Shaq and Robert Horry would not have been able to beat Portland.
Now, the 2000 finals had been changed to a game between 2 of the deepest teams that year, Indiana Pacers led by Reggie Miller, Jalen Rose, and Dale Davis, versus the hot Trailblazers with Pippen and Rasheed Wallace being the offensive line.
This series is a hard one to process because the Pacers were the #1 offensive team that year and Reggie Miller wanted that ring so bad. But Portland was top 5 in defense and had a defensive star in Scottie Pippen.
But if it boils down to it, we think the Pacers would edge this series because they had a lot of offensive threats in Miller, Mark Jackson, Jalen Rose, Chris Mullins, and Rick Smits. Pippen was a defensive beast, but he would not be able to handle all those players by himself. And we got the Pacers beating Portland in a close 7-game series.
So, the 2000 finals would have ended with Reggie Miller earning his first ring and being awarded his first finals MVP.
Only been 1 year and so much has already changed without the presence of Kobe Bryant. Let's move on to the 01 playoffs, Kobe's second ring. This was Kobe's best playoff run within the three-peat years, averaging 29, 7, and 6 throughout the whole playoffs. Without him, the Lakers would definitely not beat the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference Finals.
Remember, the Twin Towers of the Spurs were still a thing, and Tim Duncan and David Robinson were dealing with Shaq in the paint, but was crushed by Kobe that series where he averaged 33 points. Without him, there was no way the Spurs would have lost. So, they will move on to the finals where they will face the Philadelphia 76ers.
Basically, this was Iverson and Mutombo versus Duncan and Robinson. But this one was pretty easy to predict what would happen. Even though the 76ers had Iverson, they were only top 15 in offense, while the Spurs were top 5 in offense and had the #1 defensive team.
This is a no-brainer because we can say Mutombo could have hypothetically defended Duncan and Robinson, but no one not named AI would have scored against this duo in the paint. And we got San Antonio beating the Philadelphia 76ers in 5 to 6 games.
Thus, the 01 playoffs would end with Tim Duncan and the Admiral winning another championship, and Mr. Fundamentals winning another Finals MVP, solidifying his career already only in his 4th year in the league.
Without Kobe, Timmy is now arguably the #1 power forward ever, and David Robinson would have more fame and attention to his GOAT center debate. Now, let us move on to the 02 playoffs, the year where the Lakers were supposed to complete their three-peat. And even though Kobe did not score as much that year, he still averaged 26, 6, and 5.
However, this one will excite Kings fans everywhere because now that Kobe is not in the league, the faded Sacramento Kings would have beat the LA Lakers in the conference finals as they should have in the first place.
No arguments here, because we all know that the league wanted the Lakers to three-peat, but if there was none of that, the league would not be backing LA as much as they did.
And a team of Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic, Mike Bibby, and Vlade Divac are now going to the NBA Finals where they would have faced the New Jersey Nets, led by Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin.
This was a hard one to predict because both teams were skilled and very deep. In the regular season, both teams beat each other and tied the series 1-1 and blew out one another in those two games.
Statistically, the Nets were the #1 defensive team, and the Kings were top 5 in defense and top 3 in offense. However, after 7 hard-fought games, we have to say the winner would be the Sacramento Kings. And let us tell you why.
First, they were the #3 offensive team in the NBA regular season, but in the playoffs without Kobe, they would be #1 offensive team in the playoffs. But the winning stat that would edge them to a Game 7 win would be their #1 rated pace.
The Kings in the playoffs had a pace of 97.1. What does that stat mean? Well, the 2014 San Antonio Spurs ball movement focused championship team had a pace of 99.8 in the playoffs. They were only faster than the Kings by 2.7 points. That's how fast the Kings were that year.
With the Nets having a slower pace than the Kings, which is not even top 5, we think the Kings would beat the Nets in a very close 5 to 6 games, and Chris Webber would win his first championship and receive the Finals MVP award.
The Kings winning this championship feels right in my heart, and really shows how dominant Kobe was now that 5 All-Stars have won their first and only championships.
Now, let's fast forward 4 years later in the 2005-2006 season, where Kobe Bryant won his first scoring title, leading the league in points, averaging 35.4 points a game. This is such a historic season with a lot of highlights.
This is the season where he scored 81 points against the Raptors, the season where he averaged 43.4 points per game in the month of January, had 27 40-point games, and so much more. But now that that is all gone, the scoring title would now go to the second runner-up.
The second runner-up being Allen Iverson, who had a monster season as well, averaging 33 points a game, but was hidden because of Kobe's amazing season.
We're now going to move on to the next season where Kobe received his second scoring title, averaging 31.6 a game. Another historic season with many accomplishments.
Without Kobe, the winner of this scoring title would have been Carmelo Anthony at 28.9 points a game. And, in retrospect, would actually give him an accomplishment LeBron at that time did not have yet.
So in those 2 years without Kobe, AI and Melo would now have another scoring title on their resume. And we the fans would now have so much memories that the late Black Mamba gave us.
Moving on to Kobe's one and only MVP year in the 2007 and 2008 season, where he won in a landslide with 82 first place votes and the runner-up having only 28 first place votes.
Thus, with the new winner of the 07-08 season, we have Chris Paul. This is a big shocker to us and maybe a lot of you guys, as it was not a tight race, but now we would have to give some credit to the new MVP in CP3.
This would mark his only MVP award and really put him into the top 3 to top 4 best point guards of all time, where he is constantly being left out from the GOAT PG conversation.
Again, we see the impact Kobe makes by not being in the league, as it changes all these events how we discuss it and argue today.
But let's move on to the final segment of the video, which is his last 2 championships with the Lakers. Let's start with the 2009 season.
In 2009, the Lakers beat the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. However, the Lakers led by Paul Gasol are not going to stop a Nuggets team with a hot Carmelo Anthony and guards in Chauncey Billups and J.R. Smith.
Thus, the Nuggets will move on to the finals where they face the Orlando Magic, led by a trio of all-stars in Jameer Nelson, Rashard Lewis, and the reigning DPOY Dwight Howard.
This is a heated matchup between Dwight versus Carmelo, quite literally an offensive juggernaut in Denver and the #1 defensive team in Orlando. However, one factor that has to be brought up is the injury of Jameer Nelson.
Jameer was out for most of the playoffs and came back in the finals, and he was not himself and was not even starting. We made a video all about Jameer Nelson's career, so go check it out.
With him not being 100%, we have to edge this finals to the Nuggets in 7 games, giving Carmelo Anthony his first and only NBA ring. Also, this would award Carmelo a Finals MVP, something LeBron James does not have yet. giving him the title as the best small forward in the NBA.
The disappearance of Kobe would now impact the legacies of many Hall of Famers and would put Carmelo Anthony as the top 3 to top 5 small forwards of all time.
In the next season, where Kobe won his last championship in 09-010, the Lakers beat the Phoenix Suns and won a close series against Boston.
Like we said before, without Kobe, this Lakers team is nothing and the Suns would have beat them and go on to play in the NBA Finals. The Nash and Stoudemire-led Suns versus the super team in Boston is not that hard to predict, and this ring would definitely go to the Boston Celtics.
This was not the 7-second Suns team anymore and was kind of like the 15 seconds Phoenix Suns, as they were at the end of their speed era. They were going against the first modern super team, which had Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Rajon Rondo, all for sure first ballot Hall of Famers.
This team gave Kobe a run for his money in this finals, going to 7 games, where the Celtics beat Kobe's Lakers 2 seasons prior.
And Kobe beat the Suns team with ease, so this would give Paul Pierce, KG, Ray Allen, and Rondo one more ring on the resume before they broke up. However, one big change is that we think the finals MVP would actually go to Rajon Rondo.
Rondo was a big threat this playoff run, forming his now nickname Playoff Rondo, and was because the super team was near its age limit and the big 3 are getting older by the second.
Also, Rondo would control the Celtics team as the big 3 gave him the keys to lead the offense, and Rondo would not back down, going against another PG in Steve Nash.
With us coming to a conclusion, let's look at some footnotes and careers that have changed with the absence of the Black Mamba. First, Reggie Miller, Chris Webber, and Carmelo Anthony would now have 1 ring each, with Reggie, Webber, and Melo receiving a Finals MVP.
Secondly, Melo would now have 2 scoring titles on his resume, a championship, a Finals MVP, and with these accomplishments, a lot of people would now put Cornrows Melo into GOAT conversation.
Another big one is Tim Duncan would now be the greatest power forward without a doubt and will be in the GOAT conversation up there with Jordan, with him having 6 rings and 4 Finals MVP. Plus, it justifies the Celtics team as one of the best super teams to ever exist, winning 2 championships now.
However, the biggest impact is actually not a good one, and it is on Shaq's career, as now Shaq would go from 4 rings and 3 Finals MVP to 1 ring and 0 Finals MVP, leaving him out of the GOAT center conversation, making way for David Robinson, who has now 3 rings. Kobe's career is one of the most respected, and he really did carve himself a Hall of Fame legacy. But with him gone, it boosts the legacy of other stars, changing a lot of different positions' top 5 conversation.
That's just a smidge of what the NBA would look like without Kobe. And if you make it this far, thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell button below to get notified for new videos every week, and share with your friends.
Well, that's it for this one, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Kobe, if you're listening, thank you and rest in peace. Just kidding, we did not forget about the Kobe giveaway, and we're recording this live spin as we speak right now.
We want to thank you all for the support and comments. We really grew from that giveaway. But now, let's spin the wheel and announce the winner.
Spinning. With that being said, the winner of the Kobe merch is William Taylor.
Congratulations, William Taylor. Watch out for a comment below on your favorite Mamba moment so we can discuss how we will be sending the merch and get that to you as soon as possible.
If this video gets 50 likes, we will do another giveaway near the playoffs, maybe a jersey of your given team. So check out our social media for all the news. Love you guys, and Hooper Mix TV out.